Wishing you all a happy day. This is Dr. K's Lecturecast in Anatomy. We are going to discuss about the temporomandibular joint, part 1. So, what is a joint? A joint is an area where two or more bones articulate or meet to permit movement of the various parts of the body. Temporomandibular joint, we fondly call it as TMJ. In this part 1, we will be discussing about the type and variety of the joint, the articulating surfaces, ligaments of the temporomandibular joint, relations, blood supply and nerve supply. In another presentation following this, which is temporomandibular joint part 2, we will be discussing on the movements of the temporomandibular joint, muscles producing the movements, applied aspect or clinical anatomy of the TMJ, and practicals or OSPE based questions. Any joint, whenever we are going to give an introduction, we should mention about the type of joint. It is synovial joint because this joint has synovial membrane covering it with synovial fluid, and it is of condylar variety because the condyle, mandibular condyle, is going to articulate with the mandibular fossa. That is one of the reasons why it belongs to condylar variety. Now coming to the articulating surfaces. There will be one articulating surface above, which we call as superior articulating surface, and inferior articulating surface, which will be below. So above here we see a fossa in the temporal bone, which we call as the mandibular fossa. Why mandibular fossa? Because the head of the mandible is going to articulate here to form the joint. So now you can say what is the inferior articulating surface, which is nothing but the head of the mandible. We call as the condyle. The next point to be mentioned whenever we describe about any joint is about the ligaments. The main ligament is a fibrous capsule. A fibrous capsule, fibrous tissue made up of fibrous tissue. This main capsule almost covers and lines the entire joint cavity. Next comes the lateral ligament. You can see here the lateral ligament. This also supports the lateral compartment of the joint. And then stylomandibular ligament from styloid process to mandible. And then the spinomandibular ligament. You can see here in the medial aspect, the spinomandibular ligament. Now let's describe about each of the ligaments. First comes the fibrous capsule. Attachments are above to the articular tubercle and entire circumference of the mandibular fossa, and there is a squamotympanic fissure and below to the neck of the mandible. I'll show you here in the previous picture. Can you see here? This is the mandibular fossa. It covers, the fibrous capsule covers entirely at this region and also the till the neck of the mandible. This is the condylar process, that is mandibular head, and here you can see the neck of the mandible. And can you see here there will be a fissure here which is nothing but the squamotympanic fissure. So the fibrous capsule covers entirely all these areas and is attached to the articular tubercle and circumference of the mandibular fossa, squamotympanic fissure, and below to the neck of the mandible. Lateral ligament, see it runs laterally, gets attached to the lateral aspect of the mandible, and it supports and strengthens the lateral compartment of the joint. So this arises from the articular tubercle to get inserted below to the posterolateral. Can you see the posterior aspect of the mandible and laterally, posterolateral aspect of the neck of the mandible. Spinomandibular ligament. We can easily say the origin and insertion. Origin will be from sphenoid, to be specific from the spine of sphenoid above to the lingula of the mandible below. This is the medial aspect of the mandible, inner aspect. So you can see the spine of sphenoid here to the lingula. You know why it is called as lingula? Because it is tongue shaped. So lingula. Spinomandibular ligament. From where does this ligament arises? You would have read about pharyngeal arches, And when these arches develop, some remnants are left off. So first pharyngeal arch is otherwise the cartilage is called as the Meckel's cartilage, and this sphenomandibular ligament is considered to be the remnant of the Meckel's cartilage. It is an accessory ligament. See, fibrous capsule and lateral temporomandibular ligament are considered to be the main ligaments, whereas sphenomandibular and the following stylomandibular ligament are considered to be the accessory ligaments of the temporomandibular joint. A very important point to be noted here is at the point of insertion, below there will be a mylohyoid groove where the mylohyoid nerves and vessels will be lodged. So, at the point of insertion, this spine of sphenoid is pierced by mylohyoid nerves and vessels. Stylomandibular ligament. Styloid process. Attachments are styloid process of the temporal bone. Can you see here? A pointed one. Styloid process of the temporal bone to the posterior border of the ramus of the mandible. This is the ramus of the mandible, this part, and it is attached to the posterior aspect below the angle and the posterior border of the ramus of mandible. How it is formed? Like how we saw the formation of the sphenomandibular ligament, stylomandibular ligament is nothing but thickening of the investing layer of deep cervical fascia. And this separates the parotid salivary gland from the submandibular salivary gland. This is very important point to be noted here, which we are going to talk about is the articular disc. Can you see here? The head of the mandible, the mandibular fossa, the space is occupied by an articular disc. This is a very important part of this joint compartment. It divides the joint compartment into meniscotemporal. Above is menisco, related to temporal, and below it is related to meniscomandibular. So this articular disc divides the joint compartment into upper and lower meniscotemporal and meniscomandibular compartments. So movements here are above only the gliding movement, and below both rotatory and gliding movements occur. This point should be noted here so that the movements of the temporomandibular joint can be understood in a clear manner. Superior surface is concavo-convex and inferior surface is concave. So this disc is attached peripherally. At its borders, this blends with the fibrous capsule of the TMJ. Embryologically, this point is important when you're preparing for post-graduation or NEET exams. It is the primitive insertion of the lateral pterygoid muscle. So this disc represents the degenerated part of the primitive insertion of the lateral pterygoid muscle. There are some parts of this articulating disc or the articular disc. You can see here the anterior extension, the anterior band, intermediate zone, posterior band, and posterior band shows bilaminar area. Here we can see a rich venous plexus. What is so important about this articular disc that we are discussing it in detail? This acts as a cushion. That is, cushion means it helps in shock absorption, and this fills the space between articulating surfaces and also stabilizes the condyle. Number 2, since it acts like a cushion, we can say it also prevents friction between the articulating surfaces. Proprioceptive fibers. You would have come across this term in various aspects of anatomy. What is proprioception? We know we are moving a joint, we know we are moving a muscle, or we know we are doing some action. So those sensations are called as proprioceptive sensation. So these fibers of the disc carries the proprioceptive sensation whenever the joint moves. Thereby it regulates the joint movement. Increases the area of contact. So thus, whenever there is increased force, it helps in the distribution of the weight across the joint. Relations of the temporomandibular joint. I used to follow a wonderful clinical anatomy book which is by Keith Moore. So here, when you take the coronal section through the temporomandibular joint, this area, we can see the relations. Lateral relations cannot be seen because the skin and fascia, part of the parotid gland, and a section of the facial nerves, the branches are removed here. So, medial relations, that is, since it is cut in the coronal section, medial relation lies little medially, that is on the inner aspect. So, medially, spine of sphenoid. Can you see here? Spine of sphenoid. So, what ligament is attached to it? Sphenomandibular ligament. And there is a nerve and a blood vessel related to it, auriculotemporal nerve and middle meningeal vessels. You can relate these two because the two roots of auricular temporal nerve encloses middle meningeal artery. Anterior, that is in front, you can see lateral pterygoid muscle, and close to the insertion of lateral pterygoid we have the masseteric notch. So the masseteric nerves and vessels runs here. Posterior, remember P for P. Posterior, we can see parotid gland, superficial temporal vessels. Can you see here? Superficial temporal artery and the superficial temporal vein. And then we can see the auriculotemporal nerve because this has two roots. Superior, can you see above? Superior, it is the middle cranial fossa and the middle meningeal vessels. Inferior, we can see the maxillary artery and the maxillary vein. So compare this diagram, not compare, check into the relations in this diagram and then understand the relations. By seeing this relations, we can say the nerve supply and blood supply of the temporomandibular joint. Nerve, there are two nerves here which I have highlighted, masseteric nerve and the auriculotemporal nerve. Blood supply is by superficial temporal and the maxillary artery. And veins accompany the arteries. Movements of the TMJ and muscles involved, the clinical anatomy of temporomandibular joint and practical based questions are to be continued in temporomandibular joint part 2. So this lecture or presentation or any other material in the series are not intended as a guide for any treatments or clinical intervention. Just please take it as a quick review of specific topics. If you like my channel, kindly subscribe and also share so that it can benefit your other friends or any people who are into medical field. See you in temporomandibular joint part 2 presentation.